FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And as we continue our year-long Trading with a Purpose series here on YouTube, now we've gotten to the point where we're getting to the last pair that we are going to be covering, NAS 100. We've already broken down Pound USD, Pound JPY, and gold. And then finally, here we are with NAS. So let's go ahead and break down NAS 100 into our peak formation so we know exactly what direction we should be trading or what bias we should be having on this particular pair. So with that being said, let's literally jump right into it and let's take care of the easy stuff here that we know. All right, so we're going to start from basically the same time that we started with the other pairs, about December 2024. That is going to be pretty simple because this is essentially where we can start to create the peak formations. So let's do the easy ones out of the way. Obviously, we know that this is going to be a peak formation high, and then this is going to be a peak formation low. Those two are pretty obvious. All right, so we got those two down. Now let's fill in essentially the middle part here of what's happening on NAS. So let's go ahead and go back into the charts here to see what is the actual ADR, so that way we could start to figure this out. Now, if you remember the qualifications here for peak formation are right here. I'll put these down here so everybody can see, and then that's what we're looking for. All right, so with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's get started on counting this first area here. We do have a crossover that happened here, so essentially we just basically want to find out, is this enough from here to here? Is it enough for a full cycle? Yes or no? So let's just start counting from the very top to the bottom here. Notice how this says like 14,021. That's not the number that we are looking for. We're looking for only the first 4 digits. So essentially 1402. All right, if we take a look at the cycle or the ADR for this cycle here, it's from 270 to 300. So let's just say 300. That'll give us right around 4.5, 4.6 times ADR. So yes, that is enough for a full cycle. So obviously we have more than one times its own ADR. We have a break of structure twice here as well. So all of this stuff here is crossover. All this stuff here is good on this one. All right, so essentially we just keep moving. So from here, you can see we had another crossover. The question again is from here to here enough for a full cycle or not, is the question. So again, we measure out. You're looking at 1126. And then what is the cycle for, what's the ADR for that cycle essentially? We're right in the 424, 425, or I'm sorry, we're right in the 324, 325 mark. So let's just use that. So that's about 3.4 times ADR. So this is essentially a peak formation high here. And essentially we just keep going, right? Here's our next crossover that we have. From here down to this one here, it's 1067. So 1067. And then we divide that by the average. You can see that this cycle here is a little bit higher. We're in the 350s now on this particular one, anywhere from 330 to 350. So we're looking at right around 3 times its own ADR on this one. So this is enough for a full cycle as well. So I mean, you could see that once you start to get this, like how, you know, pretty smooth you start moving. Obviously I'm doing this super fast because I've been doing it for so many years, which I feel I could do this on any chart, doesn't matter what chart, even if I've never seen the chart before. It's just simply following the rules. All right, so on this one here we have a crossover, but you can see it's very short in the sense of the movement, and it drops down, obviously breaks below this previous lows here. So to me, this is very likely going to end up being a reset because there's not enough here from this point to here to make a full cycle. Let's just go ahead and confirm that. And you're looking at 923. Obviously 923, and then we're looking at into the 980s, almost 375, 384. So we're not going to have enough for a full cycle. We're right at the edge of like 2.4 times ADR. So essentially this right here would be a reset. All right. The reason it's a reset is because price broke previous peak formation lows here. All right. So let's see now where we get our next crossover and essentially where we can go from there. So you see we get a crossover here. So now let's just obviously confirm what is the movement on this one. 1179 is the movement. You divide that by the ADR. We're in the 400s here. So obviously that's going to be right around 3 times ADR. So that is going to be another peak formation low. All right. So peak formation low, and then we just keep going, essentially, right? We keep going till we get another crossover, and then we'll measure it out from there. This whole time, once you have that peak formation low, this entire stretch, you're just looking for buy setups only, buy setups only. So if you're trading London session, you're looking for buy setups of type 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're in the New York session, you're looking for essentially continuation trades or reversal trades back to the 50. And this is all in a 15-minute time frame. All right, so we had a crossover here. Let's go ahead and measure it out. Right at 14.34. And then what is the ADR on this cycle? Well, we started in the 420s or so, and then we moved down into the 370s. So right around, I would say somewhere around 400, and we're right at 3.5 times ADR. So again, another peak formation high here, and then again you just keep going. So this whole time you're just waiting for a crossover. There's another crossover there that just happened. Is it enough though for a full cycle? By the way, this whole movement of going back and forth pretty quickly, this is all during the time of Trump putting tariffs, taking tariffs off, and things of that nature. So a lot of this stuff here that you see, a lot of these sharp moves that you see here, these are all news. Okay, these are literally all news. All these little things here that you see, sharp moves going up, anytime that you see these big candles like this is all news. Either a Trump tweet, taking back, putting forth tariffs and all that stuff. So that's why you're getting this kind of aggressive move, because the market is really like saying, okay, it doesn't know what it's getting, because every day he changes his mind. Either I'm gonna put tariffs on Mexico next week, next day I'm gonna put tariffs on Canada, and then we're gonna hold them off for 30 days, and then we're gonna put them back on. So it's just a very, very back and forth, and that's why essentially you're getting this kind of price action. But with that being said, let's go ahead and just measure this out real quick. You can see we're right at 1313 is this one here. The average cycle on this one, 372. So you're looking at 3.5 times ADR. So yes, it is enough for a full cycle. During this time, by the way, it's very difficult, and I'll be honest with you, very difficult to trade this type of market, because it's literally just going until you get these stretches here. These kind of 1 day cycles is very hard to trade this, because for obvious reasons, because you don't know how deep it's going to go and whether or not it's going to give us another full cycle that quickly. So all these things you have to keep in mind when you're trading this, obviously. But so here we go, coming off peak formation low, and here we have another crossover. Essentially, again, you're just doing the same thing. Is it enough for a full cycle or not? You just measure. That's 1220. So 1220, and what's the average cycle around here? 405, 407. So that's about 3 times ADR. So yes, that's enough for another cycle. So this right here becomes another peak formation, and we just keep going. Now we did have a pullback here, obviously, and that had a crossover. You can measure this real quick to see if that was even a cycle or not. 1010 is that one there. So 1010 and the cycle was 403. So 2.5 times ADR. So technically, yes, this right here is another peak formation low. But you can see, honestly, straight up, I would not be trading this pair throughout this entire movement here, just because it's so choppy. Like, it doesn't make any sense to put risk on whenever you have something that's, you know, making a peak formation in literally in one day. You're going from peak formation high to peak formation low in one day, literally, and then coming back up again. So it's just very back and forth this, and I hate trading consolidation. So for me, it's just not something that that I like trading. So throughout this time here, we're just looking for buys, still coming off that the peak formation low, and this whole time we're just continuing to look for buy setups only, buy setups only. That's it. That's all we care about until we get a major, until we get another peak formation. Basically, you can see how price starts to slow down and essentially consolidate, and then this right here, news candle, right at 9 o'clock, you get a news candle, boom, that helps the crossover and everything happen. So this is obviously going to be another peak formation high up here. If we measure this out, you're going to be looking at 1411 or so, give or take. And then if we average out, it's going to be right around 405. It's going to be 3.4 times its own ADR there. And now we're just looking for sells. That's all we're doing, looking for sells only. So this whole time we're just looking for sells only. So while this stops here, what do we have here? We had a crossover here. Let's measure this out real quick. 18, I mean, we don't even have to do math for that. It is going to be obviously enough for a full cycle with 1834, and then the average cycle is about 350. So yeah, that's going to be enough for a peak formation low here, and then obviously this is going to end up being a reset. All right, and then just to confirm, you're looking at 1964 and then averaging about 400. So yes, that's going to be enough as well for a full cycle. So essentially now, if we let this play out, I believe it should take us to where we are real time now, which is essentially looking for buy setups as we're coming off a peak formation low. So now we know where we are in the cycle for NAS 100. Essentially, we are coming off a peak formation low, looking for buys. All right. So you can see here that every time that we've done this, we've kind of gotten faster and faster and faster, just because essentially we're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay. So all we care about now is essentially just looking for buys. Now, one thing that you can do is, now that you've gotten them pretty much all caught up, is you can go ahead and project out what is 3 times ADR if this were to be, you know, to at least give you a range of where price action should very likely go to if this is going to be a full cycle. All right. So how do you do that? Well, you take out, you know, the ADR here, we're in the 500s now, right? So we're looking at somewhere in the 520s or so, give or take. So you take your 520 and you just times it times 3. That gives you about 1560. And then that way, if you were to measure out from the peak formation low and just go up 1550, that's right around here. Okay. Now, not a shocker. This should not be a shocker to anybody, but if we go ahead and we put it at 1550, where is the 3 times ADR? Essentially, 3 times ADR is right in an area where there's going to be orders. Okay, so this would be a great full cycle if we were to get one here. All right, so again, all of these areas here, right, all of these pullbacks have orders that are sitting on top of them from different types of traders who trade support and resistance, breakouts, trend lines, all that stuff, right? So there's going to be orders all throughout on top of all these previous highs here. Okay, so all of these orders are just sitting there. So those are going to be pretty good targets to aim towards. So if you want to know essentially where the likelihood of price could go, just do that. Measure out 3 times ADR from the newest peak formation, right? And that'll give you a good idea. Okay, well, I'm expecting hopefully price can come up to this area here. And if I know if price comes up to this area, that'll be pretty close to that'll be basically 3 times ADR at least. If it goes higher, let's say if it does a cycle of 4.5 times ADR, then just measure out, or it'll probably be somewhere up here or right up here. Okay, you will start to notice essentially that when you project out what 3 times ADR is, it's very likely, okay, it's very likely going to essentially lead to going back to one of these areas here where there are orders that are going to be sitting there. That's an easy way that you can do on all your charts to just project out and know, okay, how far out is a full cycle if we were to get a full cycle. So one thing we could do here now that we have where we are in the cycle as far as coming off peak formation low is we can break it down now by days. All right, now you could see here essentially that to create the peak formation low for that week here, for that Monday here, Monday went down, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all basically consolidated, and then it wasn't until the last part of Friday still came up. All we basically had was a week of consolidation, right? That basically created a accumulation cycle here for the week, and then now essentially the same thing happened the week after on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You could see price action started. Where did price action start? Okay, if it started here, where did it basically end the week? Basically the same thing. So all we did was just go up, down, accumulate. So we had an accumulation cycle, and then now Monday so far, right? Monday started here, Sunday, Monday, right here. We've gone up, and then we'll see whether or not this starts to basically retrace. We could see one of two things, I think, based on where we are now, is a trending cycle where essentially we just keep going higher, obviously, to get a full cycle of 3 times ADR, or depending on what happens here, because we did have a full day of rise on Tuesday. We want to see here whether or not price action stays above or below basically 2100. So 20100. Does price stay above or below that? I think if prices stay above 20100, then very likely this should lead into a trending cycle. We should still see buys. All right, but if we start to see that price breaks below 20100, then very likely this is going to turn into a market maker cycle where you had a midweek reversal. Now we're going to get into that because we're going to have videos and all that stuff, but I just want you guys to just realize essentially how different ways essentially that you can start to make a complete picture. Okay, now I just want to make sure that you guys understand that you don't need to know all of this, okay? To trade this successful, the simpler that you keep it, the better. The more stuff you keep adding to it, the more complicated you make it. So let me repeat that. Let me repeat that, okay? The more stuff you add, the more complicated you make your own trading. So just keep that in mind, okay? If you want to make it as simple as possible, okay, as simple as possible, is literally wait for a new peak formation low to form and then trade away from it. That's it. Until you get a full cycle, another peak formation, trade away from it. Just keep it that simple. You don't even have to look at the weekly cycles or any of that stuff. You can literally just keep it that simple by only looking, okay, only looking for a new peak, trading away from it, wait for another peak to form and trade away from it. That's it. So wait for this to form, trade away from it, wait for this to form, trade away from it. You can keep it that simple, and I suggest that most of you keep it that simple because this is all that you need. You trade away from the peak formation high. Again, if you're trading London session and you're coming off a new peak formation high, you should be looking for sell options for type 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. If it's not a sell setup, you're not in the trade. Okay? If you're a New York trader, and you're coming off a peak formation high, right, you should be looking for continuation trades to sell or reversal trades to go back up to the 50 to end the day. If you want to know what all these are, I've already made videos on all this stuff. Go look at the pattern series. Go look at the playlist of pattern series. It literally goes through all the different types of patterns that we trade. Okay, but I just need you guys to understand that you don't have to complicate it. Okay, you have to make it very, very simple. The simpler that you make it, the better. I need you guys to please understand that. There's a lot of terms that you can use. There's a lot more stuff that you can add onto it. But I'm telling you that you don't need any of that stuff. You don't need it at all. Could it help you in the future long run? Sure, it could help you. Yes, put more stuff together. But as you're learning, especially if you're new to this strategy, I mean, you just want to keep it as simple as possible. And so that's what I try to do. That's why when you go back to like the 2019 videos compared to like the 2024 mentoring playlist, and you'll see the difference. You'll see how I've put it down to like the very bare basics of what you would need in order to make a successful model out of any of the patterns that you can trade. And I still do that to this day. It's the same thing. It does not change. It does not change. Okay? So please just keep your trading simple. Do not overcomplicate it. It's okay to learn new things, but the one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get stuck in the cycle of just learning, and never actually taking the time to sit down, do a back test session with just one thing. I think some of you guys may be just avoiding the situation of actually putting in the work. All right? Because you're always constantly learning. You're constantly just trying to learn new stuff. Right? When I promise you, if you just take the 2024 mentorship at what it is, you back test it, that's all you need. Okay? Again, peak formations, peak formation highs, peak formation lows. All right? This entire area is what you're trading. You're selling it. If you're coming back up, this entire area you're buying. Okay? Look for type 1s through type 4s during London sessions. And if in the US session you're looking for continuation trades and reversals. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need right there. Okay? You want to know the patterns, what the patterns are and all that stuff? Go to the pattern playlist that I made on YouTube. All this is all there already. Everything's already there, guys. So again, take your time, but just please, I beg you, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Take this very simple model and just back test it. That's it. Just back test it. Take your favorite setup that you like, whatever it is, type 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, just take that and back test it. That's all you got to do. I promise you. You back test it. Get 1,000 examples and you'll have your freedom because you'll have what you need. That's it. The one thing that you're probably struggling to want to do is literally what's going to get you your freedom that you're looking for. So stop wasting time and start doing it. Now that we know what we're on all 4 of the pairs, right, we've pretty much caught up on all of them. So NAS, gold, pound USD, pound JPY. While we're here, actually, let me just update this so you guys are good on this. This is obviously a peak formation high up here on pound USD. All right, so we are looking for sells on pound USD. Gold, same thing. This is a new peak formation up here on gold, so we are looking for sells on gold as well. Temporary sells on gold. All right. Pound JPY. Look what happened here on pound JPY. All right. We had a peak formation high, and what happened? Price retraced back up, retested this. Right now, this looks like it's going to end up being a failed reset. Okay. So far, based on where price action is right now and what this looks like, this right here looks like a failed reset and basically another peak formation high here. That's currently what that looks like right now. You're pretty much up to date on all of them. All right, gold, USD, pound JPY, and NAS. All right, so now we're going to start to talk about essentially each individual pairs, setups, and things of that nature. But now, hopefully, you guys are good on the peak formations. All right, and every time we get something changed, I'll make a video about it, so we can talk about why it's a peak formation, why it's a reset, why it's a failed reset, why, you know, so you guys know why it is, and hopefully you guys can, you know, start to put this stuff together on your own. All right, but until the next video, guys, thank you for watching. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share the content, and we'll see you in the next video.